What if one of Hollywood's biggest secrets wasn't actually a secret at all? What if the signs were there for years, hidden in interviews, whispered about at private parties, and discussed behind closed doors? And what if the people closest to it all knew more than they ever admitted? Today, we're diving into one of the most talked about stories in entertainment history, the Sean Combs trial, and the question that millions of people are asking right now. What did Hollywood know, and why did so many people stay silent? For decades, Sean "Diddy" Combs was more than just a music producer. He was a brand, a businessman, a cultural icon, a man whose influence stretched far beyond music. He helped launch careers, built companies, attended elite events, and became one of the most recognizable faces in entertainment. To the public, he seemed untouchable, successful, powerful, connected. But today, that image is facing intense scrutiny as serious allegations and legal proceedings continue to unfold. And as the world watches the courtroom, something fascinating is happening outside of it. People are looking backward. They're revisiting old interviews, old news clips, old stories, old rumors. And they're asking themselves a simple question: did we miss something? Or did people see it and simply choose not to talk about it? That's where this story becomes bigger than one celebrity. Because this isn't just about Sean Combs. It's about power. It's about influence. And it's about what happens when someone becomes so successful that people become afraid to challenge them. Think about it for a moment. Imagine you're a young artist trying to build a career. Imagine you're an employee working in an industry where one powerful person can open doors or close them forever. Would you speak up if you saw something concerning? Would you risk your future? Would you risk your reputation? Or would you stay quiet and hope someone else said something first? These aren't easy questions, but they're questions at the center of this entire story. As allegations against Sean Combs became public, attention quickly turned toward the people who spent years around him: friends, business partners, artists, industry executives, celebrities, people who attended events, people who shared stages, people who appeared in photos, people who were often seen in the same circles. And suddenly, the internet began asking, what did they know? Now, it's important to be careful here. Being associated with someone does not mean being involved in wrongdoing. Knowing someone does not automatically mean knowing everything about their private life. And appearing at the same events certainly doesn't prove anything. But that hasn't stopped public curiosity. Because many people have noticed that some well-known figures have remained silent while the case dominates headlines. And whenever silence appears, speculation quickly follows. Some believe people are waiting for verified facts before speaking publicly. Others believe some individuals are worried about being connected to the controversy. And some believe there may be people who simply don't know what to say. After all, how do you respond when someone you've known for years suddenly becomes the center of a massive legal storm? It's a difficult situation, and one that doesn't come with easy answers. What makes this story even more interesting is that conversations about Sean Combs didn't suddenly appear overnight. For years, stories circulated online, rumors surfaced, comments were made, questions were asked, but many of those discussions never gained major attention. At least not the way they are now. But because context changes everything, information that once seemed insignificant can suddenly look very different when viewed through a new lens. That's human nature. We often understand events differently after learning new information. And that's exactly what many people are doing right now. They're revisiting the past, looking for clues, looking for warnings, looking for signs that may have been overlooked. But here's another important question. Is hindsight making things look clearer than they really were? That's something worth considering. Because when a major controversy explodes into public view, people naturally start connecting dots. Sometimes those connections are meaningful. Sometimes they aren't. And that's why facts matter so much. In today's world, information spreads incredibly fast. A rumor can circle the globe before the truth has a chance to catch up. A social media post can influence millions of people within hours. A short video clip can create a narrative that lasts for years. That's why it's important to separate allegations from proven facts. The courtroom exists for a reason. Evidence matters. Testimony matters. The legal process matters. And regardless of what people believe, those facts are what ultimately carry the greatest weight. Still, one reason this story has captured so much attention is because it touches on something people have been discussing for years: the culture of silence around powerful individuals. Throughout history, there have been countless examples of influential figures whose actions were questioned only after years of rumors and speculation. Sometimes people were afraid. Sometimes they felt powerless. Sometimes they believed nobody would listen. And sometimes they simply didn't have enough evidence to speak confidently. When people talk about Hollywood silence, they're really talking about a much larger issue. How does power affect accountability? What happens when wealth, fame, and influence become concentrated in the hands of a few individuals? Can success create an environment where difficult questions go unasked? These are questions that extend far beyond entertainment. They're relevant in politics. They're relevant in business. They're relevant in sports. And they're relevant in everyday life. Because wherever power exists, accountability becomes important. And whenever accountability appears to be missing, people start asking questions. Lots of questions. One thing that's especially fascinating is how public perception can change. Think about that. A person can spend decades building a reputation, years creating an image, years becoming admired, years becoming respected, and then suddenly, everything changes. The same stories people once ignored become important. The same comments people once laughed off become serious. The same moments people barely noticed suddenly become the focus of intense discussion. It's a reminder of how quickly public opinion can shift, and it shows how fragile even the strongest reputations can be. But perhaps the biggest reason this story has attracted so much attention is because people want answers. Not assumptions. Not theories. Answers. They want clarity. They want facts. They want to understand what happened. And they want to know whether there were opportunities for intervention long before things reached this point. Could warning signs have been recognized earlier? Could concerns have been taken more seriously? Or is it unfair to judge the past using information available only today? Again, there are no easy answers. But these are the conversations happening around the world right now. And they're conversations that likely won't end anytime soon. As the trial continues, every new development creates fresh headlines. Every new filing sparks debate. Every new statement becomes a topic of discussion. And every update brings renewed attention to the broader questions surrounding the case. Questions about power. Questions about responsibility. Questions about silence. And perhaps most importantly, questions about truth. Because eventually, the public wants something more valuable than rumors. They want certainty. Whether that certainty confirms suspicions or challenges them, people want to understand what really happened. And that's why millions continue following this story. Not because it's simply another celebrity controversy, but because it has evolved into something larger. A conversation about systems. A conversation about influence. A conversation about accountability. And a conversation about whether powerful institutions do enough to protect people when concerns are raised. As we move forward, it's likely that more information will emerge. More testimony may be heard. More evidence may be examined. And more questions may be answered. But until then, the world continues watching, listening, waiting, trying to understand how a story of fame, influence, and success became one of the most talked about legal cases in modern entertainment. And perhaps that's the biggest lesson here. No matter how powerful someone becomes, no matter how famous they are, no matter how successful they appear, questions eventually demand answers. And the truth has a way of becoming impossible to ignore. So now we want to hear from you. Do you think Hollywood knew more than it was willing to say? Do you believe people stayed silent because of fear? Or do you think the public is drawing conclusions before all the facts have been presented? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We read every comment, and we'd love to hear your perspective on this story. And if you're interested in deep dives into major trials, celebrity controversies, true crime investigations, and the stories making headlines around the world, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. By subscribing, you'll be the first to know when new developments happen and when we release our next in-depth breakdown. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and thank you for being part of the conversation. Because sometimes the biggest stories aren't just about the people at the center of them. They're about the questions that everyone else is afraid to ask. And in this case, one question continues to echo louder than ever before. What did Hollywood know? And why did it stay silent? We'll leave you with that thought. See you in the next video.